Welcome to the John Gardina Classroom. Today I'm going to educate you on running. So this episode will be very specific for why you should run and then ways to start running and have success. So before I get started, I do want to make sure that you know that this is a fast and growing podcast, and to help it grow, simply just rate it on the app you're using and also share it on your social media. It helps the movement of the John Gardina Classroom grow. And remember, it's all about my principles and values that I hope that you value as well, which are my faith, my family, my fitness, and my freedom. So today is very specific in regards to fitness, specifically running. So here we go. I want everyone to know that I've been running since really 2019 after I read the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. To precede that, I maybe ran a 5K here and there. My brothers both were runners, did a lot of half marathons. My oldest brother, Todd, did his first marathon back in college. I believe it was like 2002 or 1 at that point. But I never really liked running. I felt like it was punishment when I was in college for baseball. And I never really understood the importance of a cardio base and how it could really help you. And I just want to share my experiences with you and how important I think it is that everybody runs, or at least walks, or maybe does a little walk jog, or as my friend Cornbread would say, jogging, or a wogging. I think is how he says it. So let me get started. The journey really for me was one out of fear, and then it became to really feeling like a hero in this arena. Back in like 2015, I actually in my head signed up for a half marathon, and I had a program by Hal Higdon, and I remember I had the app and everything ready to go. And my brother James and I ran to work one day, and it's 7 miles away. And about 5.5 miles into the run, I felt kind of dizzy. I just told myself, like, this is crazy. Like, who could run a long distance? This is almost stupid. So we got to work, I did my job, and we had our cars there, so we drove home after the work. But it wasn't really until 2019, like I said, when I read Can't Hurt Me, and David Goggins just opened up a whole new layer for my mindset for why to run and how important it is to run. So I'd highly recommend first reading that book, Can't Hurt Me. And he has a new book out too. He just published, I think it was just a couple months ago. I read that one too. It's Never Finished. So if you want to get mentally tougher, read David Goggins' books. If you are a beginning runner, I would definitely recommend reading those as well. So let's get started. Why running? So I'm going to list 7 reasons here. The number 1 reason is to stay healthy and to be at a good weight. And also for longevity of life. When you feel better physically, you just are always in a better mood. When you feel like crap, you usually tend to be more negative towards others or to yourself, your self-talk. So running for me is an opportunity to stay very healthy and to live a lifelong filled life. Another reason is to be outside. There's so many places to run, but whether it's in a park, whether it's by a lake, an ocean, whether it's just somewhere in the plains, which is more flat, the mountains, anywhere. But we have so many different places to run and explore. And this gift that God has given us of His creation, and just to see it and witness it, and to do it by foot, it's just a wonderful reason to run. Another reason why running: to compete with yourself and have an edge by participating in races. As a competitive person that I am, I think it's very important to compete with myself. I'm not competing against anybody else. I'm not an Olympic athlete in running. but I want to compete with myself. And it gives me an edge knowing that I wake up every day, I run almost every day, and I just feel like I have an edge on life. And when I do my races, I'm trying to be better than I was last race. So it allows that spirit of competitiveness. And it's a great thing to have throughout your entire life. Another reason, it allows me to have the self-discipline to stick to a schedule and be consistent. Running's a way for us to have discipline, whether you think about it or not. But if you were to schedule a race out in advance and you had your schedule built and you follow that script the best you can, you're going to have success. And you're going to notice also, not only in that running journey, but also in life, that you'll start thinking about the microcosms of how you can be better by putting things together on a list and just checking them off. It's that dopamine drop that you get, and you feel so much more gratitude for doing that. Even though at times it's not easy, but you're moving the ball forward, not only again in running, but also in your life. Relationships. Having friends to run with is very therapeutic and extremely healthy for you. I have my running group, Jen, DeQuan, and others on the weekends. And it's really been a blessing to run with them because you allow the digestion of the week to take place. And by just talking about it and getting those endorphins and dopamine drop alongside with the therapeutic part of it, of whether your relationships at home, whether at work, it just is very a freeing a time and experience that you get to have. And I recommend that to everybody because I went through a depression state, and I actually pinpointed why. It was because I wasn't running on Saturdays with my group, and it really affected me mentally. So I highly recommend being around people when you run. Obviously, it's hard to do that every day, but try to do that as much as you can. It sharpens the mind so much that it opens doors of possibility because of grit and gratitude. So running allows you to sharpen the mind because you have just you and you on the road, right? It's your mind is playing games with you, whether you're going for a long run, it's maybe difficult, the weather may be crummy. There's different reasons of understanding the grit of the process of this journey. And you learn so much about yourself. And the gratitude part is, I do a lot of prayers while I run. And I love it because then I get to have a grateful heart while running, to be with the Lord, to spend time in prayer, and then also think about my relationships that I have in my life. So if you enjoy this process of running like I do, you'll find just pure joy and bliss of learning to go through difficult things physically, but also mentally. But on the other side of that is it's such a growth process along the way, and it's absolutely beautiful to experience. So one of the last reasons why you should run, even if you can't run with your friends, you can create plans to be together and meet up at races. So currently, I'm with a group called 5150. I have guys, Dan and Tim from South Carolina, Mike Bellini from Tennessee, and Jeff Forrester from Florida. And this group is an accountability group. We have a WhatsApp, and I created the plan for us to run this 50-mile or more race down in South Carolina at the end of March, April 1st weekend. And this is awesome because we post and hold this accountability to each other. And even though we're not with each other physically, you feel bonded and yoked with your buddies or your friends or your group. And it's very exciting because being a former college athlete and just athlete in general ever since I was young, it's a way for you to still have that competitive nature, but with a group of people that you choose. You know, it's like being on the playground when you were younger. You know, maybe sometimes you got to choose your team. You love being with your friends. It's just, there's no difference. Just as adults now, we get to choose our running partners and these races to compete. It's not on the playground anymore. It's actually in different places in the world that we can go and compete and sharpen our blades together in races. And you cannot find a better place to do that than really in the, whether it's marathon or ultra running community. And it really is beautiful. It truly is. So those are my 7 points for why you should run. And I'm going to give tips for those maybe who just are starting to run, or those who have, just things that have helped me out along the way. So the first tip I have for you is to just start very slow. If you're a new runner, just start very slow. It's very important to just, maybe you're walking, power walking. Maybe it's a light jog, and then you walk again. The one thing you do not want to do is say, well, back in high school or college, I was running 7-minute miles and I need to be there. You don't need to be there. That's the worst advice anybody can give you. My best advice would be running 10-minute or slower miles at the beginning of your journey. It could be 12 to 15. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're getting your body moving and getting used to that running, formation for your body to be acclimated to it, and not getting too sore. And then, the next day you got to go run again, or 2 days later, and you're like, man, I feel like crap. It's not what you want. So to avoid that situation, please make sure that you are running very slowly. And the best way to do that is to use the Phill Maffetone method, where you really stay in your zone 2. Basically what you do is you take 180 and you subtract it from your age. And so I'm 40, makes it very easy. So 180 minus 40 is 140. So I highly recommend getting a watch or a heart rate strap to be more accurate. And what you do is 80% of your runs should be at 140 or lower. And what the science behind that is the mitochondria of the cell is not being burned up as much, and you could recover quicker and you could go longer. And then you start building that cardio base. So once you built your cardio base, you could do so much more things with that. So for example, I played in a basketball game on Friday, and people my age, or maybe even younger, who were playing the basketball game were very winded. And I don't get winded unless I'm sprinting nonstop. But I just didn't get winded. And the reason why is because I've built such a cardio base ever since 2019. So for you as a parent, maybe a grandparent, I'm telling you, build your cardio base for the reason of longevity, and that you can play with your kids, which is the most important thing, not about playing a basketball pickup game. It's about doing things longer and feeling healthy along the way, where you're just not playing with your grandkids for 2 minutes and you got to sit down because you're winded. No, you can go on walks with them. You can enjoy life together. So again, start slow, use the Phill Maffetone method, and stay in that zone 2 for most of your runs. Staying hydrated. This is crucial. Don't be a tough guy on this one. The reason why you stay hydrated is your body's made up 2/3 of water. And when we wake up, we're already dehydrated. So wake up, have water, have a salt tab before you run or during your run. Maybe you use another product. I use Tailwind, there's LMNT, there's so many different products out there. Just use what works for your stomach. That's my best advice. But staying hydrated during the day, it doesn't matter if you're a runner or not. Staying hydrated is key for feeling healthy and not bogging down when you are in your runs, especially your longer runs. Another way to have success for you in your running is put 1 or more races on your calendar per year. I am a true, firm believer of this, that you should put something on your calendar to look forward to doing. Last year I did a 40-mile run for my birthday, did the Mid-State Mile, and then I did a biking race for cancer research later that year. And what that allows me to do is you stay hungry and you don't get complacent, because you know you're going to be challenged for a race or competition. So that allows you to stick to your schedule of maintaining that running ability per week. So highly recommend doing that, is putting a race. And again, this doesn't have to be an ultra marathon. This could be a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, whatever fits you. So Another thing that goes on this is finding a running schedule to follow for your race. There's different people who provide that opportunity for you, whether they're running coaches, whether it's reading a book about that, and making sure that you just follow the script. The one I used for my first marathon was Hal Higdon. He does a very nice job. He has all this stuff on his website as well. Again, there's other resources out there for you, but I highly recommend, especially if you're a new runner, to use somebody's resources that have gone through the experience of running and what's best for you. Next, how to have success is recovery. This is so critical. Last year and into this year, I ran for 375 days straight. Yeah, that's right, 375. And I didn't take a day off, and my body, for the most part, it held up because of, again, the Phill Maffetone method of running for heart rate allowed me to do that. But I tell you what, doing this stretch now for my race I have at the end of March, is your body needs that recovery. It truly does. This is not even if you're a runner. Sleep is critical for you. For me, I need to get at least 6 to 6.5. I would love to have 7.5 or 8, but it doesn't work for my schedule because I've had to leave so early in the morning for work. But sleep, number one, stretching, maintaining the flexibility of your ligaments and your muscles, and make sure you do ice baths or some kind of therapy for your muscles to allow them to rejuvenate after maybe a long run, maybe a race. But it's very important for that process. Just like a pro athlete, they do those ice baths, they do their stretching and maintaining a good sleep routine. Okay, next is find the right shoes and socks for you. A lot of people don't know how important that is, but finding the right socks and shoes allows the joy of running. Personally, for me, my favorite shoe right now is the Saucony Guide. There's so many different brands out there. My recommendation is to go to a shoe store for runners, try on a bunch of different pairs, and then find out which works best for you and what type of running you're doing. Whether there's a shoe for speed work, there's a shoe for mostly all your runs. There's a trail shoe that you would use, and that's different. Right now I'm using the North Face Vectives for my trail shoe, which I really like. So again, you're going to go through life and as a runner, and you're going to try different things. But again, it's the comfort of your shoe, longevity of the shoe, and same thing with your socks. Just make sure you have a sock that really makes the shoe fit well with your sock. Sometimes people wear too thick of socks or too thin of socks. I know it sounds crazy I'm saying this, but just find a sock that fits you best, and I'm sure moisture wicking is one of the things that I would recommend as well. So another thing with your gear is anti-chafing ointment. I use Salty Britches. It's the only ointment that works well, and you put it on your hot spots, as we say, and even on your feet, to make sure that you're not getting those blisters and chafing, redness and irritation. And for me personally, Salty Britches is the best brand for that. So I recommend that if you're going to do longer runs, to use Salty Britches. So for documentation for your runs, Strava has there's an app called Strava, and it's free. You can pay for the premium program for that. But what it does is you just upload all your runs or your walks or your workouts. And it's cool because it's kind of like social media for fitness. And Strava has groups you could be in. So right now I am in another group called the Coastal Challenge with 3 other gentlemen, and Kevin Rose from England, Tim Douglas, and Jeff Forrester. And what it is we're supposed to log a little over 3,000 miles for the year. We're just either walking, biking, and running is what our primary ways of doing this are. And in the month, actually we're not even halfway through February now, and we have logged as a group of 4 over 500 miles. And this program goes through the men in the arena. And that's another thing I go back to why I run is you get to be part of a group. And being part of a group is so much fun to be around people who you're again, I'm going to use that word, you're yoked together for a common mission. And this mission is to travel the United States from coast to coast and have fun in the process to be accountable for that. So again, join a group, use Strava for documenting your runs, and highly recommend. It's the best app for that. Let's have a little fun here now. Post pictures or videos of your runs. And you could do that to Strava. You could do it on your social media, or you just do it on your camera roll. And I have some amazing pictures that I've taken. My snow beards last winter running in negative degree weather. Just beautiful scenery in parks that I've been to. Taking pictures of my feet after long runs of mud and just decay. So it's really a neat process to do, to just go back in the camera roll and say, wow, I remember going to this place, or I was with this person. So have fun with it. Really enjoy posting your pictures and taking pictures along the way. Another fun thing to do with your running is to celebrate your victories along the journey. Whether that was a long run you accomplished, or the race that you finished and you beat your time and you got better, and you need to celebrate your wins along this journey of running. And it's fun. It really is fun to be around great people, and you meet friends along the way, and you're battling with yourself, and you're really just pushing yourself to become the best version of you. Another way this is the mental part of the running, it's called the 1/3 rule. I learned this from an Olympic athlete. So not every run's going to feel great. Like yesterday was an awful run because I did that basketball game and my body was broken, and I ran 10 miles. And, it was tough mentally and physically. So here's the thirds rule. 1/3 of your runs will suck and you'll have suffering. 1/3 will feel okay. And then 1/3 of their runs will feel great. So know that it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows when you run. But just enjoy the journey and know that you're doing this for the right reason, whether it's to be better, whether it's to live longer, whether it's to play with your grandkids. There's so many different reasons for you to enjoy this journey. And the last is it's you versus you. You're trying to be better than you were yesterday. And that's one thing that running has definitely allowed me to do, is to become a better version of myself. And the reason why running has allowed me to do this is because it challenges me. I talked about this, is the discipline of running every day almost, and the discipline to follow the schedule. And then you get to go to the top of the mountain and finish that race. And in most races, they end up good, where you're like, man, I really did everything, put in the work. Or you have to recalibrate and say, maybe I didn't follow the schedule the right way, or maybe I didn't do my recovery the right way. So it's like a game of life. You're trying to figure out ways that you can improve. And running truly is a great way to do that. So this today is my endorsement for running. And I hope all of you who listen to my podcast can do some form of running in your life, because I know it has greatly impacted my lifestyle and my identity of who I am. Because I do truly want to run with my kids and play with my kids and grandkids and great grandkids one day. And I know this is just one way to get to the end of my life healthy. And it's not morbid, it's actually just very authentic. And not only is it just physically the running part, but being around people, challenging yourself, growing physically and mentally, and learning the grit and the gratitude and the prayer time and all these different opportunities that running provides for you. So blessings to you today. I hope you buy that new pair of shoes like I always do. And enjoy the journey of life of running, and to be around people along the way. I love you guys, and this class is dismissed.